Hey guys, I want to go over some popular shotgun caddies with you because I couldn't figure out a better way to waste my money. So if this is informative to you, then my wasted money has some use afterward. As I said, I'm a noob. I don't have any credential why you should trust my opinion. So I will try to make this a review about data and facts, not about what I think. So the first one is the Taccom Sport. It is the cheapest one, but it's also probably the one the easiest to manufacture. It's basically a few pieces of plastic being bolted together. The shell retention is really tight, especially when it was new. In order to test how easy the shell is released from the caddy, I'm gonna put in 4 shells. And I use the tape to tape them together, and I'm gonna use the trigger weight gauge to measure how much force is needed to remove the shell. So the 5-time average is 4 pound and about 13 ounce. So in terms of construction, it's pretty solid. It's simple and practical. I think this is a very good first shotgun caddy for 3-gun, mainly because it's so cheap. But the one thing I would say is it's pretty hard to learn quad loading using this shotgun caddy, mainly because it's how hard it is to get the shell out of the caddy. Yeah. So next one is also from Taccom. That's the Taccom Gemini caddy, which is their newest caddy. The first thing you'll notice when you have it on your hand is it's super heavy. So besides the backer plate, it's all aluminum or steel. It's super solid. I have no doubt it will endure any kind of abuse. So let's do a weight comparison. So this one weighs about 1 pound, and compared to the Invictus caddy, which is just 5.5 ounce. So this is the 3 times of the weight of an Invictus caddy, and you kind of feel it when you are in a match. So the way it holds the shell is using the spring mechanism. The spring is pushing the shell up towards the top where there's a half cup. That's where the shell sits. The friction in the top part is basically what keeps the shell in place. And the length of the caddy will be set to a specific kind of shell. So if you switch to shell with a different length, you have to readjust it to use the screw here. You need 1/8 inch of the spring travel to securely hold the shell per manufacturer's instruction. In practice, though, I do feel it's pretty hard to adjust because you kind of have to guess where the 1/8 inch of spring travel is. Otherwise, it's either going to be too tight or too loose. So the 5-time average is 4 pounds 6 ounce. So in terms of adjustability, it has a lot of holes on the backer plate. But if you're using ELS like I do, you have to use the extension because otherwise the screw gonna interfere with the mount. So the extension and the weight of this caddy itself, my experience is it flaps around in the match when I'm running. So Taccom sells its own shell holder riser, which should alleviate this problem. I highly recommend you to get it if you decide to go with the Gemini holder. So all in all, I think it is a pretty rock solution, and it is pretty affordable. You won't have concern that the caddy broke or the shell accidentally released, but I think in terms of usability, it is not as good as other alternatives. So the next one up is the Invictus caddy. This is their most popular 2.8 series. The first thing popping into your mind when you look at this is it is beautifully simple. It is basically 2 pieces of aluminum plate with 2 sets of injection molded plastic. The way it holds the shell is kind of like the Taccom Sport, but due to the unique design of their holder, like the shell retention is not nearly as strong as Taccom Sport, which is a good thing. In order to test the shell retention, I'm gonna insert all 8 shells because one thing I noticed is the retention on different sets of shells is different in Invictus. So 4 sets average, it's 3 pound and 10 ounce. So one thing I noticed on Invictus caddy is it has different shell retention on the high brass and low brass ammo. So let me demonstrate. So this is a high brass ammo. I'll do 5-time average. Okay, so 5-time average, 3 pound 10 ounce. So now let's try the low brass ammo. So 5-time average, 1 pound and 8 ounce. So this is as expected. As you can see on the second position, there is only 1 leaf on the right side that holds the bottom, which is below the brass. So the diameter here is a little bit less than here. So the low brass shell will have lower retention weight. This also leads to the biggest problem I noticed on the Invictus Caddy. It is trying to create a one-size-fits-all solution that the same retention device is trying to hold brass and the plastic part, and also different kinds of shells. The result is the retention on the bottom shells are pretty weak. So let me demonstrate. So you only need like 5 ounces of force to knock the bottom shell over. So this means if you have any type of disturbance in the match, like on your shotgun caddy, you might have some shells on the ground. And also, if you are moving rigorously, the bottom shell might shift position, so you can no longer get a good purchase on the full shells, full quad load. All in all, I really like the Invictus shotgun caddy. It is simple, practical, and still very affordable. The caddy definitely won't be a limiting factor when you try to practice quad load. It is really easy to get a good purchase on the shell, and the release is light and consistent. It is also the easiest one to adjust. The two pieces of metal did all the magic. You can adjust the caddy to any direction on your belt. The adjustment is also very simple and painless. You just need to remove those screws. Some of the caddies in today's review will require you to remove the actual retention device to do the adjustment. The bottom shell retention is definitely a concern, and also the protruded plastic part looks finicky. So if you ever plan to lay down on your shotgun caddy during a match or something, you probably should pick another one. Now we are moving to more premium shotgun caddies. The next one is the Safariland 0S6. The structure is kind of similar to Invictus caddy, so it has a metal backplate and those plastic parts that actually holds the shell. The biggest difference is the 0S6 has this plastic stop plate that stops the shells from moving in, let's say, y-axis. So 0S6 can have very light shell retention weight without worrying the shell will move in this direction. So let's test the shell retention weight. So 5-time average, it's 1 pound and 15 ounces. As you can see, the shell retention is really light on the 0S6. It is even lighter than the Invictus, but because of the plastic backplate exists, it actually holds the shell really securely. I feel this is basically an improved, more sophisticated version of the Invictus caddy. It does mean though, like the shotgun caddy is only 2-for-1 length of the shell, but it is very easy to adjust on the fly because you only need to match the length of the caddy to the length of the shell because there is no spring, unlike the Taccom Gemini. The adjustability is also pretty high. You only need to remove these few screws. You don't need to remove any retention device. But the adjustability is a little bit limited in terms of direction compared to the Invictus caddy. Also, you don't get the option of using those closely packed caddies. This does mean this will take more space on your belt. So if you are going to a shotgun match with like 50 round stage, you might need to consider this. All in all, I think this is easier to release. It holds shell more securely, which is the biggest problem in the Invictus caddy. So if you can afford the extra price and you don't mind the shotgun caddy takes more space on your belt, I would recommend the 0S6 over the Invictus. So last but not least, here comes the big boy from UK, the King's Competition Shotgun Caddy. This is no doubt the most expensive one here, but it also is the most complicated one, which in my view justify the price. The retention mainly comes from the magnet. The spring in the bottom is basically holds the shell together. So unlike the Taccom Gemini, you don't need to adjust the length just because the shell length changes a little bit. This is also give it a very nice feeling when you're trying to release the shell, which is kind of hard to explain. So if you are using an elastic part to hold the shell, like the plastic, as you release the shell, the force will increase a little bit as you reach the maximum deformation point of the elastic material. But if you are using a magnet, the force is directly correlated to the distance of the material of the magnet. So the maximum force is where the shell is stationary, and it will only be decreased afterwards. So now let's try to measure the shell retention. So the 5-time average is 2 pound 12 ounce, very light and consistent. One thing unique about the King Competition Caddy is the round is closely stacked and touching each other. This gives you maximum amount of shells in limited space. The way it is stacked also make it really nice and solid when you try to remove the shell from the caddy. It just feels really nice. This also means the King's Competition shotgun caddy is only set up ultimately for one hand. This particular model is set up for left hand. If it's for right hand, the round will stack differently. This is actually a big issue for me because I have hard time deciding anything, and I don't want to commit to weak hand quad load just yet. And change a King's Competition caddy to a different hand require exchange kit, which is not sold in US as far as I know. And ship it from the UK costs like $130, at which point I might as well just buy a new one. The adjustability is not as easy as others. You will need to remove the retention device to be able to put on the adapter for the EOS, but it's definitely doable. What I'm trying to say is king is king. If money is not an issue, just buy the King's Competition shotgun caddy. Here you go. Now you should be able to see a chart on all the shotgun caddies I have reviewed today for your easier comparison. Hopefully this is helpful to you. The thing I have learned is if I have put all the time I put into this review into actually practicing quad load, I will probably be better off.